What's up, everyone? Coming at you live. Well, not live, but coming at you tonight on our November 5th. This is the second episode. This is the second episode of Honest D. The Honest D YouTube channel. Let's start that over. What's up, everyone? Second episode of the Honest D YouTube channel. My name is Don, and today, being that I am a 36-year-old college student living in a dorm room, I want to talk about the number one questions that I get asked as a grown man by my classmates. My classmates, all my classmates are 19, 20, and 21 years old. A majority of them. There's maybe a couple people walking around like myself. So, let's get into it. One of the questions that I get asked the most, especially when people find out my age, obviously they're curious off top, like, I know you're older, I don't know how much older. Or maybe they do know how much older. Maybe I just look like so fucking old and I'm lacking a lot of self-awareness. Anyways, the number one question I do get asked, this is usually by young men, not women, is they love asking, do you have any regrets? Do I have any regrets? That is a good question. Do I have any regrets? This has always been the toughest one to answer with a straight face because it's such a broad question. It's like, do I have any regrets? Well, one, let's talk about why you're asking me that question. You're asking me that question because it's obvious that you took a right turn when you should have went left somewhere in your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be at college closing in on 40 years of age. That's a great assumption, but let's just focus on the question real quick. Do I have any regrets? Of course. Of course, I probably have some regrets. I regret not doing certain things. Do I regret not going to school younger? I mean, I don't know. I'm 36. I've lived a lot of life. I've had many types of times. I've had good times. I've had bad times. It's hard to say, do I regret any one of those things? Because I'm quite content where I am right now, where I am. And if I wouldn't have went through everything I went through, I might not be where I am right now. A 36-year-old college student, personal trainer. Yeah, I have regrets, man. Yes, I have fucking regrets. I wish I made all the decisions that would have got me to being a famous artist, millionaire guy. That's not what happened, however. But I'm still good. I'm still happy. I still love my life. I love every day, and I feel blessed to have another day every day. So, to answer, that's just a hard question to answer. I get why it is asked, though. I understand why it's asked. Because you want to know. What you're asking me is, what do I need to watch out for? Or you're waiting for me to answer you, or they're waiting for me to answer them to see what not to do, or something along those lines. Okay, let's move on from the do you have regrets question. You'd ask that to anybody. Here's another question that's kind of like, do you have regrets? The other question that I get asked often is, would you do things differently if you could? Of course. If I could go back, this is what I will say. If I could go back, I would have went straight to school. I wouldn't have took a year off and fucked off for a year and then went to community college just to drop out and get my certification in personal training and go on that whole route. I would have went straight to school. Got my degree right away, and then, started a business or went into personal training, because you really do, if there are young men watching right now, your parents are probably telling you, have a plan B. And then you're on YouTube or watching whoever you're watching, and they're saying, oh, I didn't have a plan B. I only got my plan A. That's the only way I live, because I gotta make it. I don't got a choice. It's like, you have a choice. And for everyone who's not an outlier or very lucky, I'm talking to the 1%. If you are not of the 1% and you're with the rest of us here working very hard to get to where it is you need to go, a plan B is very fucking useful. Just in case things didn't go the way you planned. Okay? I'm not saying, I love the energy. I love the sentiment behind only having one plan. I fuck with that. I do. Tough. I love it. I love that energy. I love that spirit, especially for you young entrepreneurs trying to, start a business or be a service provider of some sort, whatever it is you're trying to do, barber, personal trainer, hairstylist, sell a product that you made. I don't know. Yes, I get it. I don't want a plan A. I don't want a plan B, because I don't want to have like some source of you're planning on failing, essentially, or whatever it is. But look, these is not the movies. Life is not the movies. Let's not romanticize reality of what we're doing. It's not that dramatic. Get a plan B. Get a skill set you can fall back on. I'm not saying go back to school and go get a sociology degree. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but get a hard skill. Engineer. Anything in the STEM realm: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. These provide you with hard technical skill sets, okay? And then when you get that, it's like, okay, go start your business and say, I don't need a plan B anymore. And then do that, because you're gonna be where I'm at right now if you didn't have a plan B. Not that things aren't even going, look, and just to be clear, here's one thing a lot of people don't tell you either. Along growing up, along your journey of just growing up, you could be doing great and just want to switch it up. I didn't go back to school because I was failing so hard at life. I couldn't take it. Obviously not. School costs money and time, and I still have to pay bills. So, and I'm not like the rest of the 19, 20, 21-year-olds. No one's taking care of me. So obviously, but sometimes you want to change. Sometimes you want to switch careers for whatever reason. For me personally, I'm kind of done with the health industry. I'm really interested in AI and software engineering and computer science. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in data analytics. I'm interested in data science. I'm interested all of a sudden in my later life in math. I find that endlessly and infinitely interesting at this point in my life. So just to say, like, you might not want a plan B, but you might not want to live your plan A anymore at a certain time. It might not be what you thought it was going to be real. So, going back to the question, would you do things differently? That would be the one thing I would have done differently. But even now, in hindsight, it's tough. That's even tough to say. Because if I would have went straight to school out of college, I would have got a kinesiology degree. So I might still be back at college to this day to go get my degree in computer science. So, I wouldn't have done anything differently, to be real. Even through all the adversity, all the ups and downs in my life, I probably would have, why not? Just keep it the same. Like I said, life is good. We're here. Okay, let's move on. The other question I get asked often is, this is from young men as well. And I don't know why. Again, I think they ask me this question because they just look at me as someone who's experienced life, who's been in a couple relationships along the way, who's experienced some bad relationships, some good relationships. But one of the questions I do get asked, surprisingly, I didn't think I would be getting asked these kinds of questions, but what kind of girl should I go for? What kind of girl should you go for? And I think it's because, okay, first of all, you guys are living actually in a different generation than me. The girls that I grew up with, we're a couple generations apart. So I'm 36, you're 19, 20. We're almost 2 decades apart. I am, older. Along the way, women have changed. The women you're growing up around are of the are deep. I grew up with social media, but you guys, we know what it's like to not have it. And when I was in high school, we had MySpace. I don't even know if 19 and 20-year-olds know what MySpace is. Facebook. We had Facebook. Facebook is still around. Instagram didn't come out until I was a few years out of high school. So we knew what it was like before this social media era, and this social media era has changed things significantly. So the women that you're dealing with are a different breed. So what woman should you be going for? As a 36-year-old man, I would say the type of woman you should go for is just there's probably certain boxes to check if I were to say, you're in an OnlyFans, social media, fake, highlight reel generation, with a lot of options. Women have a lot of options. So if you're looking for a woman to date, I would say this is a classic one. I don't think this trait or this thing to look for in a woman is ever going to go out of style. Ask her what's her family like? Are her parents still together? Does she have a good relationship with her father? These are key indicators of what kind of woman you're going to be dealing with. Usually a woman, and this isn't every case. I'm not saying women that have bad relationships with their fathers or who grow up without their dads are always nightmares. No, there's outliers. There's exceptions to every rule. But for the most part, from my experience, someone who was a serial toxic dater, like dated only toxic women, I'm telling you right now, if she doesn't have a good relationship with her father, just, watch out. Watch out. One, if she doesn't have a good relationship with her father, she doesn't have a good relationship with attention from men. I mean, she's probably going to overly seek attention from men in ways that are inappropriate. Sexually, she's probably going to be more promiscuous than other women. This is like, again, I'm not trying to offend anybody. This is not I'm generalizing this, but from what I've seen and experienced, women with two-parent households who love their father tend to have a good relationship with, they tend to have a better relationship with themselves. They're not insecure. They're not starved for attention and affection from men. And they operate differently. They have a better sense of self, and they are healthier partners mentally to have relationships with, and they could sustain a relationship better without a bunch of headaches involved. So take that for what you will. I would say that is a great thing to look for. And other than that, even if she has her father in her life, some things to look out for is attention-seeking behavior. Any attention-seeking behavior should be a red flag to you if you don't know. Anything like that. Be aware of a woman who's seeking attention on social media, in social settings. If she's very loud and obnoxious, if she anything like this, you're going to be dealing with a headache. I'm telling you, it is what it is. Okay. What's another question? Let's move on to another question. This was interesting. I've actually been asked this a couple times. Let's see how many questions have we went through. This is 1, 2, 3. This is question number 4. Okay, so question number 4. This is an interesting question. How do I understand my value, my worth? I am very surprised that I have been asked this more than 2 or 3 times. Honestly, I wasn't thinking this way when I was 19 and 20 years old and 21 years old. However, this is a question that not only young men need to know, but older men need to know. And this is a question that has more to do with about how you value yourself, like how you value yourself, and it has a lot to do with what it is you value and your value system. So I think what they're asking, and this is I get asked this question because I am self-employed. I am a personal trainer. I deal with my own clientele. I understand, and I've managed businesses. like I said, I'm just self-employed. So they're asking me because I set a price. This is what I charge my clients. I have clientele. I've had to gain clientele. I've had to keep clientele. I've had to acquire, maintain, and build a reputation as a personal trainer. I'm not major, but I do understand what it means to know your worth to an extent, and then, you know, tell people what it costs to work with you, and set a price and stick with it, and then up that price year after year. So how do you know how can you understand your value? Okay, when you have a job, one of the questions in your job interview is going to be, for young men out there, one of your questions in a job interview is most likely going to be, you might have this kind of question. What do you expect to make? What salary do you expect to make? And if you've never thought about that, depending on what you're going for, you probably have certain expectations. If you went to college for 4 to 6 years, you probably have a certain expectation. You want to make, a lot of kids I've talked to, they expect to make like 80 to 150,000 straight out of college, depending on their degree. This is not an unrealistic expectation. However, you don't have any experience. So how do you know your value? How do you know your value as a 19, 20, 21-year-old? You don't. You don't know your value. You have no experience. You have all technical. If you're in tech, you have technical skills. If you're going into business or you have some technical skills, but you probably haven't developed a lot of soft skills, meaning interpersonal skills, communication skills. Here's how I set my value when I was younger. First of all, you check the market. You see what other people are making to do what it is that you're doing. You should be looking at what entry level people are making, and then to do your position. So let's say you want to be a software engineer. Look at what entry level software engineers are making. Low level programmers, they're probably making anywhere from 90 to 125,000, depending on who hires them. But most likely, it's an okay paying job. 90 to 125,000. That's a good, right out of college. That's, to expect that is, but you have a high skill set. So what to expect, how to know your worth, I would say know that number and then go above that a little bit and see if you can get it. That's what I used to do with clients when I first started being a personal trainer. I knew the market. I knew that so in personal training, it varies a lot by experience, especially so, and by you can have all these certifications and maybe other skill sets like rehabilitation training, and you have experience here and dealing with various factors and variables that come with personal training. So I looked at the market, like I said, and it would be like, okay, some trainers, personal trainers are charging people anywhere from $25 a session to $100 a session. But in reality, there's trainers that are charging $500 a session. There's trainers that are charging $1,000 a session, depending on their level of clientele. So how do you know your value? Go for the highest number. Go for the highest number you can get. And once you get a high number, never go below that number again. And as your experience grows, keep upping that number. I started at $45 a session. I used to think that was a lot of money to charge people. I used to feel bad about telling people what it is I charge. That's why I was terrible at consultations when I first started. I was terrible at selling because I assumed, here's another thing. If you're going into business for yourself, if you plan on being a personal trainer or a service provider of some sort, whatever it is, you plan on starting a landscaping business, if you plan on starting opening a barbershop, a hairstylist, you want to wrap cars. You want to open a service business where you provide a service and people pay you for this service. Well, there's a couple ways to look at it. And when you're doing this, okay? So, one, never assume that the potential client or customer makes what you make or have made. You could be talking to a fucking millionaire and you're assuming that they make $50,000 a year like you do. So when you say, I want to charge 100, for personal, I have experienced personal training. So for personal training, you say, I'm $100 a session. That's not even out of the question. $100 session. Sessions in personal training, as some of you may know, are, they go from anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So that means you would be making $100 an hour for an hour, depending. Now, if that's what your price is, tell people that's what your price is. Here's what I noticed. When I started doing that, I lost a lot of clients, but I gained better clients. I lost all the clients that wanted deals. I lost all the clients that showed up late. I lost all the clients that canceled. Well, that's not true. But when rich people cancel, they still pay. I lost just the headache clients, to be honest. When I raised my price as a personal trainer to when I got over $100 a session, when I started getting over $100 a session, so when I started training people at their homes, once I started doing that, I just understood, like, it's all about the quality of the clientele. There's nothing wrong with not making a lot of money. I don't make a lot of money. Okay? The most I ever made as a personal trainer, I believe, was like 87 to 92,000 a year. I don't make a lot of money. That was a good year of mine. Usually I was but I've always done multiple things, but like, I barely work. I've always valued my time. And what charging clients like $120 to $150 a session meant I didn't have to work as much. I didn't have as much clients, but I had a lot of time. This is why I can go to school, because I have time. I've always valued time. Now, it's a lot. So to answer the question, let's stay on the question. Let me stay focused before I go off on a fucking tangent. How do you understand your value? Set your price. Understand this. Key rule. Don't ever assume what the potential client or customer makes. Assume they're rich and can't afford it. Because when you start dealing with rich people, they would rather pay a lot of money than a little bit of money for a service. Because people assume when they pay more at first, make sure your work is good too. Make sure you're good at what you do. Make sure your work is good. Okay? That's one. But second, wealthy people, they would rather pay a lot of money than pay a little money. They're not looking for the discount shit. They're looking for the high-priced, exclusive shit. That's why they're going to Tiffany's Diamonds and paying fucking for jewelry that's marked up 1,000%. They would rather buy expensive shit. Most rich people, not all. I've met rich people that are extremely cheap too. They would rather pay for quality. They would rather pay more money than less. So assume that. Charge that if you're going into business for yourself. Now, if you're going on a job interview, if they ask you what do you expect, it's never going to hurt you to know your current market and know what these people are making entry level and raising that appropriately. If you know that what your position is paying at entry level is $60,000 annually, tell them you want 80. Don't go too high. Don't price yourself out of the market, but go high. Fuck it. Tell them this is what I expect. You know what I'm saying? Go high. Don't be afraid to do that. And then get experience. Get the experience you want. Or get the experience you need. And then keep raising the bar on what you want an employer to pay you. And you'll be able to do that because now you've gained the experience. So that's how you know your value. Understand the market you're in. If you want to be an employee and if you want to work for a company, you want to work for a corporation, you want to whatever, understand that job market, understand what the income, the median salaries are, the entry level salaries are, understand these numbers. You can Google all this shit and then raise it a little bit. Okay? That's how you know where you're at. If you get it, now you know where you're at and you can keep raising it. The thing about how do you know you're valuable, how do you know your worth or your value is that question is like forever changing. Your worth. How much do you value yourself? And what do you value? Do you value money or do you value time? Because your answer might change based on your value system. If you value your time, then money is like, you're going to need a lot of money. If you value just money, I don't really know. That's not a part of my value system. What I'm saying is you're not going to want to work as much. You're going to want to work a little bit and make more so you have more time to do things and have time to do things. When you make these upper end salaries, when you start getting into the 150, 200, 300,000, 500,000 range, your whole life is work. If you're working for a company, you're going to be pulling fucking 60-hour weeks, man. You're going to be pulling 60, 70, 80-hour. Your life is going to be your job. So you better make sure whatever it is you do, you love, because money ain't worth your life. To me. I value my time and always have. So how do you know your value? Know your value system. Know what it is you value. Know the market. If you want to work for a corporation, if you want to go get a good job or just a job, know the job, know what they're paying people at entry level, know what they're paying people, just know all the scales, median income, entry level income, average salary, these types of numbers. You can Google them. If you're going into business for yourself as a service provider, if you're anything like this, I could speak knowledgeably just about service providers because that's not the same thing as like franchising or owning companies, and that's a different scale of shit. So if you're going into business for yourself, understand the market, raise that price, get quality clientele, make sure your work is good, and charge whatever it is you want. If you want to charge high, charge high. If the demand lowers too much to where you can't pay your bills, lower the price. In economics, we call that when demand meets supply. I forgot what the word of it was called, but usually when those two meet each other is where your correct price is for whatever it is you're doing. Try not to listen to too much of what I just said because I'm forgetting the word I am looking for. But what you want to know is that here's a good way as a service provider. You know, charge what you want. If you aren't getting much business, lower your price. If you're getting too much business and working too much and not making enough money, raise your price. That means, you know, you want to lower the demand at that point. So it's all good. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you to know your value if you keep everything I just said in mind. Okay, let's move on from that question. Here's another question I was asked. Been asked this a few times by, again, younger men. I was asked this once, but I was also wondering why I was asked it, because, like, honestly, I don't have a college. I have a few associate degrees at this point, but I don't have my bachelor's at this point. So this is an interesting question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. I was asked recently by a student who's struggling. He's a mechanical engineer major, and which is a very hard, intensive degree, and it takes a lot of your time and it takes a lot of your life. But he was asking, is it worth it? Here's my answer for any, again, STEM major, mechanical engineering. Again, STEM is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Any one of these degrees, is it worth it? Yes. No matter what. No matter if you use it or not. What it's going to do is teach you how to critically think and problem solve. And like the great Elon Musk said, and you're asking me, is it worth it? I'm assuming you're asking me, is it worth it? Because is it going to be worth it in the end of, as in, are you going to end up making more money because of this degree? Are you wasting your time in terms of how much money you'll be making? Could you just quit college and go into business for yourself, whatever? Your STEM degree is going to be worth it because it's going to increase your critical thinking skills and your problem solving skills, and your wage is always going to be correlated with the your wage is going to be in direct correlation with the size of the problem you can solve in any business. So what majors like that teach you, even if you don't use them, and you will use them, is how to problem solve. So if you're working with high-end clientele, say you're a commercial banker, you're working with companies, and you know how to get them from A to B, if you know how to solve people's problems, and that's what these degrees teach you how to do, think through things, you're always going to be valuable at a high level. And if you have a mechanical engineering degree, it's very broad. You're going to be able to go into multiple industries, whatever it is you want to do. You have a computer science degree, it's very broad. You can do many things. If you have anything along those type of lines, they're broad degrees. If you have a business degree, business administration 2.0, if you have a business administration management degree, you can go into any industry with your business major. You really are just a high level accountant, probably, if you're a financing major, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. All businesses deal with accounting and finance departments. It is what it is. So, are these degrees worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say yes every time. Some people might say no. Here's the is every degree worth it? I don't think so. I don't think you need to go to college for 6 years to do digital media. No. I don't think you need that. But what do I know? They're gonna teach you things that, you could learn on the internet. You can learn everything I just said on the internet. You can learn how to code on the internet. You can learn how to do all these things on the internet. But like high level mathematics kind of requires a curriculum. And some of these coding languages are meant to be taught by teachers because they're very complicated. Mechanical engineering, the physics alone is a fucking nightmare without great instructors. So like I said, in STEM, yeah, your education is worth it to this day, I would say. Other things, maybe not so much. If you're going to be a doctor, school is worth it. If you're going to be a lawyer, law school is worth it. But again, like marketing, I don't know. Sociology, I don't know. You know, I just don't know. Okay, moving on. Another question. This will be the last question we can talk about. Let's see, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do 2 more. Let's do 2 more. This is a good one. How do I stay motivated? This I get asked. I've been asked this a few times. How do I stay motivated throughout school? This is a young question. How do I stay motivated? It's a young question because usually people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they've been through enough life to know that sometimes you just got to keep going with whatever it is that you're doing, even when you're not motivated. Here's the thing. How do you stay motivated? You don't. That's not a part of life. That's not how life works. You don't stay motivated. Sometimes you're not motivated to do the thing it is you need to be doing. Sometimes you don't want to wake up and go to the gym, yet if you want the results, you have to. Sometimes you don't want to go study for your exam, yet if you want the results, you have to. Part of being a young man and part of being a man in life, I believe, is doing things even when you don't want to do them, and that's just a part of life. Now, to take it a step further, you need to know how to motivate yourself. You need to be self-sufficient in motivation. When you're not feeling motivated, you need to know how to find something that motivates you. You can go on YouTube, watch some motivational clips. You need to have sources of motivation that you can seek out. If you're feeling like giving up something like your degree, or dropping out of school, or not getting certified in whatever you want to do, or the road to wherever you're going is more difficult than you had planned and you're thinking about giving up. And I'm telling you from experience, when you do that, you will regret not finishing what you started. So, finish whatever it is you start, and then you can, if you don't want to do it, you can do it later. But how do you stay motivated through your journey? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're not motivated. Sometimes you're really motivated. The difference between people who complete and finish and succeed at what they're gonna do, and by success I mean just getting to the end, finishing. The difference between people who finish and the people that quit is the people that finished did it anyway. Did it when they weren't motivated. Did it when they didn't want to do it. Did it when they couldn't find the motivation. They did it anyway. So think about it like that and get over it. Go through whatever it is you're going through. That's why they call it going through things. Like you ever talk to people and they're like, man, you know, I had to go through all that just to get to here, or thank God I went through that because I grew from it. You go through a lot of bad things. You gotta go through it. You can't, there's no shortcuts around it. You can't go above it, and you definitely can't retreat if you want the growth from it. If you want to finish it, you gotta go through the shit, motivated or unmotivated. And it's easy to keep going when you're motivated. Like, when you're the most motivated is when you start something new. That's what made you start it, because you were all jazzed. You're all juiced up about whatever new venture it is you're about to embark upon. And you're super motivated at the time. But what about a month later, when things aren't going the way you planned and you have to keep going? That's when you grow. That's when the growth comes. When you have to push past your threshold. That's when you grow. It's just like working out. Your muscles literally only grow when you push past your threshold. That's when your muscle fibers achieve growth. When you go past the point of failure. That's life. That's life. You got to push past your threshold sometimes. You got to do it unmotivated, sick, and fucking tired of the everyday, mundane bullshit you're going to have to go through to get through whatever it is you're going through. Because if it's worth it, one, it's not going to be easy. And two, it's going to require a lot of sacrifice and work every day. And there's going to be a lot of fucking days where you're not motivated. And you're going to have to do it anyway. So that's my answer to that question. How do you stay motivated? Sometimes you don't. All right. Let's do one more. Oh, well, this is definitely from young men. Surprisingly enough, as I've been at this university, I have been asked this. This is a very weird and awkward question, and I never asked older dudes this. But this, again, we live in different times. And definitely in different times in terms of porn accessibility. I was recently asked, how do I stop jerking off so much? This, I feel like, is an epidemic amongst the younger generation because they are dealing with easy access to the most hardcore of porns and stuff like that. And they've probably been dealing with it since they were in their adolescent, preteen, elementary years. So I don't know the pain and suffering that it is you young men are going through, but I can only imagine, because I know it's hard for adults to rid themselves of the porn addiction that is running rampant in Western society. How do I stop? One, you find God. And I'm serious about that. You pray. You find God. You develop a relationship with God. You understand what is right. Get your values, get your value system right. And understand what you are doing is to your own detriment for immediate gratification, and it's killing you in ways you couldn't imagine. It's killing your ability and how you see women. It's killing your relationship with how your relationship with women, how you see, how your perception of what a relationship should be with women. It's killing your libido. A lot of these young men are dealing with early onset ED, which is crazy. Erectile dysfunction in your 20s? That's crazy. Here's another thing I'm really not advocating for, but I find it interesting in the difference between the generation I grew up in and the generation that I see now. These kids are virgins into their young adulthood. That's great. I know I'm saying this is also what I'm saying. Find God, praise Jesus, read your Bible, develop a relationship with the Lord and God. Follow your commandments. You should not be fantasizing about the flesh or giving into your fleshly desires, things of that nature. So yes, you need to develop a strong relationship with God in order to stop playing with yourself. But with that said, you guys are not developing healthy relationships with women. That is one thing I have noticed. Like, there is the population of young men who just don't go on dates. They don't have girlfriends. They've never had girlfriends. And these are normal kids, normal looking dudes. I mean, like, dare I say, good looking young men, like, that do not have any experience talking to women. They not, like, it's crazy, and I blame it on the porn. Of course, there's still all the same stuff happening, but at large, I am very shocked at the amount of young men that I run into on the daily that are as inexperienced as they are. And I know it's because of porn. So that's a great question to ask. How do I stop jerking off? Pray. Because that is a stronghold like no other, and it's readily available all day and every day at your fingertips. When I was 19 years old, when you kids are starting to watch fucking some of the craziest shit on these websites at 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, we still had to like seek out porn. You were lucky if you found a VHS tape that your dad hid. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had magazines that you were lucky if someone's older brother had a hidden stash that was 2 miles away underneath a fucking treehouse. So, again, I don't know what you guys are dealing with, but I know it's a problem. And I'm gonna say, for this problem, you need to develop a relationship with God. You need to develop a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm serious about that. Start reading your Bible, start understanding, start getting some real wisdom in your life, and start understanding what's right from wrong and why that is. And read the scriptures if need be. Like, get on it. And understand what you're doing is not only like unholy and a major sin, it's going to be the detriment of you, and it's going to adversely affect the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that for any of you. So we'll end it there. I wish I had something tangible as far as that last question, but I am giving you some tangible. It's called the King James Version of the of the Bible, and you need the Holy Spirit, and you need to get closer to God and Jesus, and you need to understand what's going on spiritually. So that's something for you. Take that for what it is. And it's been another thing of another YouTube episode of Honest D, and continue, or hopefully we can grow this thing. Thank you guys. Peace. God bless.